Hi everyone, welcome to all. This is Vidyam Academy's NEET Initiative Most Expected Question Series. This is Rajiv Patel. Today's topic is 12th Biology, second chapter, Human Reproduction. Into this subtopic is a pregnancy and embryonic development and parturition and lactation. Let's welcome to all. Let's get started. The first question is, which hormone is secreted by the trophoblast of the implanted embryo and what its primary function during early pregnancy? Option A, progesterone. It stimulates uterine contraction to retain the embryo. HCG, maintain the corpus luteum so it keeps secreting progesterone. Option C, estrogen, directly prevents menstruation by thickening the cervical mucus. Option D, oxytocin, suppresses FSH and LH to prevent further ovulation. What is the right answer? Would you guess the right answer for this question? Your time starts now. Yes, the answer is option B. Let's go for explanation. As soon as the blastocyte implants into the endometrium, the outer trophoblast cells begin secreting HCG, the human chorionic gonadotropin. Without pregnancy, the corpus luteum degenerates around day 24 to 26, causing progesterone to fall and menstruation to start. HCG prevents this by mimic LH and binding to LH receptors on the corpus luteum, signaling it to stay alive and keep producing the progesterone. So this progesterone maintains the thick secretory endometrium that the early embryo depends on for nutrients and support. HCG also rises rapidly in early pregnancy and spills into the urine, which is exactly what home pregnancy test kits detect, making HCG the biochemical proof of a successful implantation. That's what HCG maintains the corpus luteum so it keeps secreting progesterone is the right answer for this question. And next move to question number 2. The 3 primary germ layers formed during a gastrulation give rise to all adult tissues. Which option correctly matches each germ layer to one of its derivatives? Option A, ectoderm, liver and pancreas. Option B, mesoderm, nervous system and skin epidermis. Option C, endoderm, a lining of the gut and respiratory tract. Option D, ectoderm, muscles and bones. The 3 primary germ layers formed during gastrulation give rise to all adult tissues. Which option correctly matches each germ layer to one of its derivatives? Option C, endoderm, lining the gut and respiratory tract. Why and how? Let's see the explanation. During gastrulation, the inner cell's mass reorganizes into 3 distinct germ layers: ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm, each with a fixed fate. The endoderm is the innermost layer and gives rise to the epithelial linings of internal passages including the entire gut, stomach and intestines, the respiratory tract, a trachea and lungs, the liver and the pancreas. The ectoderm, outermost forms of the nerve system, brain, spinal cord and the epidermis of skin. The mesoderma, so middle layer, forms muscles, bones and cartilage, kidneys and circulatory system and connective tissues. Option C is the only correctly matched pair. Endoderm does produce the lining of the gut and respiratory tract. That's what option C is a right answer here. And next move to question number 3. Assertion A and reason R. Assertion A is, the milk produced by the mother during the first few days after delivery is called colostrum and it's highly beneficial for the newborn. Reason R is, colostrum is rich in immunoglobulins, especially IgA, which provides passive immunity to the newborn against infections. So here the options are: option A, both A and R are true and R is the correct explanation of A. Option B, both A and R are true, the R is the not correct explanation of A. And A is true but R is false. And D, A is false but R is true. Would you guess the right answer? Yes. Option A. So colostrum and its importance. So why option A? Both A and R are true and R is the correct explanation of A. Let's see the explanation. Colostrum is the yellowish thick milk secreted by the mammary glands during the first 3 to 4 days after delivery. This is the assertion A, and it's a completely true. And reason R is also true because colostrum contains high levels of immunoglobulin, particularly IgA, along with the proteins, vitamins, and growth factors. These maternal antibodies are observed intact to newborns get into the bloodstream, giving the baby immediate immune protection against the bacteria, viruses, and other pathogens it will encounter. So this is called passive immunity. That's what here A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. Let's move to question number 4. Match the column, the first one and the second one. So here match the column. First one is the extraembryonic membrane, and the column 2 is the primary function of that. Option 1, amnion. So here A is gas exchange and nutrient waste transfer between embryo and mother. Option 2, chorion. Option B here is a fluid filled sac protecting embryo from mechanical shock. Option 3, allantois. Option C is contributes to placenta formation outermost membrane. So here the option 4, yolk sac. So here D is a stores nitrogenous waste contributes to umbilical blood vessels. So here the options are option A 1B 2A 3D 4C, option B 1B 2C 3D 4A, option C 1A 2B 3C 4D, option D 1C 2B 3A 4D. What is the answer? The right answer and consequences which correctly matched here it is option B 1B 2C 3D 4A. Why and how? Let's see. The amnion is a fluid filled inner membrane that directly surrounds the embryo. The amniotic fluid inside acts as a liquid cushion, absorbing any physical shocks, impacts, and pressure changes that would otherwise injure the developing embryo. The chorion is the outermost extraembryonic membrane, and its finger-like projection, the chorionic villi, grow into the uterine wall to form the fetal side of the placenta, making into the key membrane for establishing the maternal-fetal connection. The allantois is a small outer growth that stores nitrogenous waste from the embryo's metabolism. And importantly, it's a blood vessels developing into the umbilical arteries and veins. The yolk sac is a humans is a small and nutrition less important than in egg-laying animals, but it serves early functions including early gas exchange, blood cell formation, and nutritive transfer before the placenta is fully formed. That's what. So here option B is rightly matched 1B, 2C, 3D and 4A and rightly explained here. Which of the following correctly describes a function of the placenta during pregnancy? Option A, the placenta secretes oxytocin throughout pregnancy to maintain the uterine lining. Option B, the placenta acts as a endocrine gland secreting estrogen, progesterone, HPL and HCG. Option C, the placenta allows direct mixing of all maternal and fetal blood for efficient nutrient exchange. Option D, the placenta takes over progesterone produced only after the 8th month of pregnancy. What is the answer? B is the right answer. Why and how? The placenta performs multiple vital roles, and one of the most important is acting as the temporary endocrine gland. It secretes a range of hormones that maintain and regulate pregnancy. These include estrogen, which promotes uterine growth and prepares the mammary glands. Here, progesterone, which keeps the endometrium intact and prevents premature contraction. HPL, human placental lactogen, so which adjusts the mother's metabolism to ensure the fetus receives adequate glucose. And HCG, early pregnancy to maintain the corpus luteum. Maternal and fetal blood never mix directly. Exchange happens through the thin walls of chorionic villi and maternal blood pools. Intervilli spaces are keeping the two circulations separate. The placenta takes over progesterone production from the corpus luteum around weeks 8 to 10, not the 8th month. That's what. So this is rightly explained. Option B, the placenta acts as an endocrine gland secreting estrogen, progesterone, HPL and HCG. That's what. This is the right answer and explanation. Next, move to question number 6. Consider the following statements about parturition, childbirth. Statement 1. Parturition is triggered by a complex hormonal signal in which the fetus and placenta produce signals that shifts the hormonal balance toward labor. Statement 2. Oxytocin from the posterior pituitary acts of the uterine muscles, myometrium, to cause the strong rhythmic contraction of labor. Option statement 3, the hormonal relaxin softens the cervix and pelvic ligaments during the late pregnancy, but it is the fall in estrogen that directly triggers uterine contractions at parturition. Option A, all three statements are correct. Option B, only statement 1 and 2 are correct. Option C, only statement 2 and 3 are correct. Option D, only statement 1 is correct. The right answer is option B. 1 and 2 statements are correct and 3 is absolutely wrong here. Why? Statement 1 is correct because parturition is not triggered by a single hormone but by a coordinated hormonal cascade. The fetal hypothalamus signals the fetal pituitary, which stimulates the fetal adrenal cortex to produce cortisol. This shifts the placental steroid balance, causing estrogen to rise relative to progesterone. The rising estrogen to progesterone ratio sensitizes the uterine muscles to oxytocin. Statement 2 also right because once the uterus is sensitized, oxytocin released from the posterior pituitary binds to the myometrium and drives the powerful rhythmic contractions that push the baby out. This is a positive feedback loop where contraction cause more oxytocin release, intensifying labor. Statement 3 is false because it is the rise in estrogen, not the fall relative to progesterone, that sensitizes the uterus and contributes to triggering contraction at parturition. Next, let's move to question number 7. Which of the following correctly matches the developing stage of approximate week of gestation? A, heart start beating weeks 2, limb births appear weeks 4. Option B, major organ system formed end of first trimester weeks 12, movements felt by mother around weeks 18 to 20. Option C, sex of fetus determined externally week 4, eyelids and fingers formed week 6. Option D, full term development complete week 32, lungs fully mature week 24. What is the right answer? Option B, major organ system formed end of first trimester weeks 12, movements felt by mother around week 18 to 20. So this is the option B is the right answer. Let's see the explanation. By the end of the first trimester, approximately week 10, all the major organ system of the fetus have been formed and are present in rudimentary form. The heart is beating, limbs have formed, and neural tube has closed to form the brain, and the spinal cord and the sex of the fetus is externally distinguishable. The second trimester spans week 13 to 27, and it's during this period, typically around weeks 18 to 20, that the mother first feels fetal movements, a milestone called quickening. As the fetus grows large and strong enough for it kicks and turns be perceptible through the uterine wall. Full-term development is complete at around weeks 40. The lungs mature enough for independent breathing only around weeks 35 to 37. Making D objection is completely wrong. The heart start beating around weeks 4 to 5, not week 2. That's what. So here option B is exactly right. And question number 8. Here we have assertion A and reason R. Assertion A is milk secretion begins after delivery and it's maintained as long as the mother continues breastfeeding. A reason is R. Suckling by the infant stimulates the release of prolactin from the anterior pituitary, which drives milk production, and oxytocin from the posterior pituitary, so which causes milk ejection and let down. Option A, both A and R are true and R is the right explanation of A. And option B, both A and R are true and R is not the correct explanation of A. Option C, A is true but R is false. Option D, A is false but R is true. What is the right answer? Option A, both A and R are true and R is the correct explanation of A. Why? Let's see the explanation. Milk secretion, lactation starts after delivery when the fall in estrogen and progesterone removes their inhibitory effect on the mammary glands. And it continues as long as the baby keeps nursing. Reason R is also true because it gives the complete two-hormone mechanism. Each suckling episode sends nerve signals from the nipple to the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus triggers the anterior pituitary to release prolactin. which acts on the mammary gland cells to synthesize and produce milk. Simultaneously, the posterior pituitary releases oxytocin, which contracts the myoepithelial cells around the milk ducts to forcefully eject the milk. The letdown reflex. So R directly explains A. That's what this is the right answer and right explanation for the question of 8. Next, move to question number 9. Consider the following statement about the placenta allows to pass between maternal and fetal blood. Statement 1 is oxygen, nutrition, glucose, amino acid, fatty acids and water pass from maternal blood to fetal blood across the placental membrane. Statement 2, carbon dioxide and metabolic waste production, urea, uric acid pass from fetal blood to maternal blood for elimination. Statement 3, all maternal hormones, all drugs and all pathogens are blocked by the placental barrier and cannot reach the fetus. So here the options are option A, B, C, D. Option A, all 3 statements are correct. Option B, only statements 1 and 2 are correct. Option C, only statement 1 is correct. And D, statements 1, 2, 3 are all correct. What is the right answer? The right answer is option B. 1 and 2 are correct and option 3 is absolutely wrong. Let's see why and how. The placenta is designed to allow all essential nutrients from the mother to reach the fetus. Oxygen by diffusion, glucose by facilitated diffusion, amino acid by active transport, fatty acids, water and some vitamins and minerals all across the chorionic villus membrane from the maternal blood pool in the fetal capillaries. Statement 2 also right because all waste generated by a fetal metabolism, CO2, urea, uric acid, creatinine moves in the opposite direction from fetal blood across the placental membrane into maternal blood and is then eliminated by mother's lungs and kidneys. Statement 3 is false because the placental barrier is selective, not absolute. So many substances do cross: alcohol, nicotine, certain drugs, some hormones, the pathogens like rubella virus, HIV, and the touch group of the infection can breach the barrier and cause fetal damage. That's what the statement 3 is absolutely false and wrong here. And next, move to the final question of this series, question number 10. Which of the following correctly describes the hormonal sequence from implantation to parturition? Option A, HCG rises, corpus luteum maintained, progesterone rises, placenta takes over hormone production at week 8 to 10, estrogen rises near term, oxytocin drives labor. Option B, progesterone rises first, HCG secreted at parturition, corpus luteum maintains pregnancy throughout and oxytocin fails during labor. Option C, HCG rises, corpus luteum degenerates, estrogen alone maintains the endometrium, oxytocin drives labor. Option D, FSH rises and follicle maintained and progesterone and estrogen fall throughout pregnancy, oxytocin triggers delivery. What is the right answer? The right answer is option A, the hormonal story. So here HCG rises, corpus luteum maintained, progesterone rises, placenta takes over hormone production at weeks 8 to 10, estrogen rises near term, oxytocin drives labor. Let's see why and how. The hormonal story of pregnancy runs in a precise sequence. Right after implantation, trophoblast cells secrete HCG, which risks the corpus luteum from degenerating and keeps it producing progesterone, maintaining the endometrium for the embryo. Around weeks 8 to 10, the growing placenta takes over hormone production from the corpus luteum and becomes the primary source of the both progesterone and estrogen for the rest of pregnancy. The corpus luteum then gradually reaggresses. Progesterone stays high throughout pregnancy to prevent premature uterine contraction. Near the end of pregnancy, the fetal cortisol driven hormonal shift causes estrogen to rise relative to progesterone. This rising estrogen to progesterone ratio sensitizes the uterine myometrium to oxytocin. Oxytocin then drives the strong escalating contractions of labor through a positive feedback loop. completing the journey from implantation to birth. So this is the right explanation for the question which demands for. So here we explained 10 most important and expected questions for your upcoming NEET examinations. And next, I will come up with another topic which are very important for your NEET examination. Till so far, I would like to conclude this session with very well goodness. Thank you, and thank you so much to all.